The best thing you can do is focus on yourself. This is the second time that I had to record this video because the first time that I recorded it, I realized my audio was off only after I ended the video and I went into editing, but nonetheless, I'm doing everything I can. Here we are. And either way, I don't mind because this is a very particular, very important and particular topic that I think is worth talking about more than once. In short, I believe that this one particular answer or sentence alone, this one sentence, the best thing you can do is focus on yourself, is the solution to a lot of problems that we have among our society and among each other when we have conflict occurring. But I have here in my notes that I'm looking at on my phone 3 situations in particular that I think this applies to the best, and I think you want to stick around to hear the last one because it applies to me in particular and maybe even applies to you, especially if you are from the audience that I'm looking to target, which is young men between the ages of 16 to 25, upwards of 30 years old. So number 1, judging others. When you're in a situation in which you are judging someone else, and in some cases people do deserve to be judged, to be shamed for certain action, not only for their own good well-being and teaching, but then also for the people around them. You're putting yourself in a position in which you think that you are better than someone because of a particular action that they're doing, when the reality is we live in a society in which sinners are judging other sinners for sinning differently. And so, really, you want to ask yourself, for most cases, what is the best approach that you can do? To sit there, shame someone, make them feel terrible about their actions, perhaps make them or leave a bad taste in their mouth about how they feel about you? Or maybe the best thing you can do is focus on yourself, become a better version of yourself, and let your actions speak louder than your words by setting a good example for this individual to follow, instead of shaming them, judging them, and making them feel terrible. As you can see, the solution in this case is to focus on yourself, because by focusing on yourself, as I mentioned, you display a better example that this individual can follow instead of leaving a bad impression on them that might even make them hate you. Whereas in the case in which you focus on yourself and you set a good example for them to follow, they might look at you as a role model and see you as someone that has perhaps changed their life given this particular situation that you're going through. Second example I want to talk about is inspiring others. Now, similarly, this has to do with your interaction with another individual, except now you might have good intentions. So much so to an extent that the individual you're trying to inspire is not aware that their actions are going to hurt them. But you know what? You are someone that is coming in saying, look at me as an example. I've done well and I'd like you to do the same because I care about you. So follow me or do as I do. But once again, you're putting yourself in a position in which you're making this other individual that you're talking to feel like you're better than them. And a lot of people have a hard time swallowing that because of matters that have to do with pride and ego. A lot of people just hate to see other people are doing better than them. They hate to accept others as role models. And so even though you're stepping into a situation with someone with good intentions to set an example for them so that they can follow for their own improvement and their betterment, they see you as an enemy. They see you as someone that is against them, that is trying to take away from their value, and so they don't end up respecting it. So in a situation like this, what do? The best thing you can do is to focus on yourself. Once again, you just set the good example. You let your actions speak louder than your words. You let your actions present the mission or the intention of what you're actually trying to do. And this person will follow in your footsteps over time because they see you as a role model. And instead of them having an ego and a bit of pride towards you that makes them hate you, they observe you quietly. And when they see for themselves the good result of the actions that you've put in, they end up following you. And this only happened, why? Because you focused on yourself. The last example that I want to present has to do with anxiety, and this is the one that I relate to in particular. I have very big goals for my future, very big goals for myself, my family, the people that are going to be around me, the mission that I have, the businesses that I want to start. And so I feel like sometimes my dreams and my goals and my aspirations are so big that it's me punching above my weight class or me biting off a little more than I can chew. Which is a good thing, because ultimately, if your dreams and your goals aren't big enough that they kind of scare you, they're just not big enough for you to think bigger. But at the same time, for me, I think they're so vast that I just feel like in my current state, I'm not good enough for them. I'm not good enough to be running the company that I like to run. I'm not good enough to be worthy of the woman that I want to be with. I'm not worthy to be in the company of the individuals that I like to be around, whether they're close friends and family, companions, or as far as even, clients that I want to work with. I still have a lot of work to get there. And so I get a bit of anxiety thinking about the amount of work I have to do because I'm humble enough to acknowledge that I think before me, I can easily admit there were a lot of people that were better than me in every metrics that have come along, tried to do what I'm doing and failed at it. And so sometimes my logic is if this individual that's better than me has tried and failed, what good am I? What is the point of me even attempting? So, what is the solution to having this anxiety? Do you give into it and say, you know what, it's not even worth my time to try? Or do you decide to focus on yourself, say, I want to become the best version of myself, and in the meantime, all I can do is work to become that best version of myself and see how close I can get? Because the reality of it is when you zoom out, you'll realize that you're going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So in a case like this, where you have a fear, or even for myself, where I have a fear of not being able to reach the future that I want to reach, I could just give in, or I could decide to move forward with the option of focusing on myself, trying to become the best version of myself in right now, as best as I can be. And at the very least, even if I don't reach my goal, I can be at peace with myself in the moment, knowing that I'm doing everything that I possibly can to reach that stage. Because if I were to do nothing, that would make me feel a lot worse. Whereas now I'm doing everything I can, and even if I don't reach my goal, I know that if I reach my deathbed, trying, although I never accomplished that goal, I'll still be happy with myself because I have exercised the entirety of the potential and the resources that have been given to me. We've all been created with a limited amount of resources that are presented to us. And so I think that the only thing that would be reasonable for someone to have regret about when they're on their deathbed is that they didn't use the full potential of the resources that have been given to them. If you've been given $100 and another individual has been given $10, and both of your missions are to multiply it by 10 by the end of your lives, it's reasonable to expect that the person with $100 is going to come back with 1,000, and the person that has 10 is going to come back with 100. This is because they have made the most out of the limited resources that have been given to them. And so that should be your mission as well. Focus on yourself. The best thing you can do is focusing on yourself, trying to become the best version of yourself. And what you will find is not only is that going to give you peace in the moment because you're doing everything you can now, but maybe even in the future, you'll reach all the goals that you've wanted to reach and maybe even surprise yourself by doing way more. See you in the next one.